From the campus of Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey, the GCEN presents high school football. Tonight, it's the Group 5 championship game as the Toms River North Mariners take on the Williamstown Braves. Hello again, everyone. Rob Christ along with my partner, Scott Chapelier. A cool, crisp evening. It's been a beautiful day for football. This is the third game of a triple header. We've had great football all night long, and we certainly expect more of the same. Williamstown, a physical football team, taking on a Toms River team that also boasts great physicality. We've had an opportunity to see Williamstown earlier in the year. This is for all the marbles. Group 5 championship. Always interesting when you have two teams that have never faced one another.
Absolutely, and obviously we spoke to the Toms River coaches before, and they talked about that long drive down here. Obviously they got here in plenty of time, but still, you never know how that's going to affect a team having to get off the bus after a long ride like that. Should be interested to see if they get off to a quick start tonight.
We talked about the physicality of Toms River North. This is a team that likes to impose its will. Williamstown is going to have their hands full today.
Absolutely. I mean, Toms River has that great, quarterback who runs, throws the ball, and Williamstown's played great defense all year. But this Toms River North team has put up points consistently all year long, and it's going to be maybe the toughest test the Braves have faced all year.
Should be quite a contrast because, as you mentioned, Williamstown boasts a tremendous defense. They are a solid team all around, but you can't look up past the fact that Williamstown has shut out 4 different teams this year. One of the games, they let someone score with their second team, and they could have easily had 5.
Absolutely, and Williamstown, I think, really prides itself on its defense. Because they run the ball so much, they don't necessarily score a ton of points, so they really rely on that defense to keep the opposition down and make it that much easier for the offense to take advantage.
Their defense is going to have to play well tonight because Mike Husney has scored 53 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons, 30 of them this year. Those numbers are just unbelievable. He is someone to keep an eye on. He's a little guy, but I tell you what, he's got a big heart.
Well, at 5'10", if he was a few inches taller, he'd be a D1 recruit all over the place. He's thrown for 1,300 yards, rushed for over 1,100 yards. He does it all for them, and the offense really starts with him. That, the success that they've had all year on the scoreboard shows how well he's done. They really want him to do it one more time tonight to bring home that title.
We mentioned that Williamstown is a team that likes to run the football. It all starts with Tyreek Glenn. 180 yards and 2 touchdowns in the semifinals against an outstanding Cherokee team. If they want to be successful, they're going to need Glenn.
Absolutely. He's rushed for almost 800 yards, 13 touchdowns this season. He's even the team's leading receiver with 7 on the year, which shows you how little they throw the football. But everything really revolves around him. Rich Stanzioni at quarterback running that offense. And, they're going to have their hands full against a large and physical Toms River defense. They're going to need to get off to a good start early, I think, to really kind of establish control.
Toms River North, an interesting case study. Coach Oswitz, just his 3rd season. They started out 1-9, has started to really build this program into a power against the Williamstown team that lives locally, did not have to travel, and has been here often. Should be a great game. Stick around. We'll have the opening kick for you in just a moment. Welcome back to Rowan University on the campus of the Profs. 3rd game tonight, triple header. Groups 1, 3, and 5, Pennsville and Delsea have gone home as state champions. Now Toms River will kick it away to Williamstown to determine the Group 5 champion. Williamstown won the toss. Elected to receive, Williamstown in their black with royal. Toms River, pooch kick, taken at the 24-yard line, across the 30, and still on his feet to the 43-yard line. The Braves to start things. Excellent field position.
That was a nice return. I thought after he got hit that he was going to go down pretty quickly, but he pushed ahead for a few extra yards. And Williamstown's going to be starting outside their own 40, which is great for that first drive of the game.
Well, we mentioned before that this is a Williamstown team that likes to run the football. When we had them against Hamilton earlier in the year, Tyrek Glenn played a huge role in that victory, but it was also the Rich Stanzione show. He, of course, the transfer from Washington Township, had a big interception in that game in addition to engineering the drives as the quarterback. First play is a pitch, and Williamstown picking up about 3 and 4, Joe Early.
And that was nearly a false start. I didn't know it looked like that other back got ahead of a little bit, but he gets a couple of yards there on first down.
So you see both of these offenses quite potent and defensively quite stingy. Needless to say, the makings of a championship season. Second down. The handoff, again, powering up the middle. Glenn with about a 3-yard gain, and that'll bring up a third down and about 4.
Looks like he got a little bit of a favorable spot there. He's running right into the teeth of that Toms River defense.
We mentioned that Williamstown likes to run the ball, 212 yards per game, and Toms River no different, 287.5 yards per game, 55 touchdowns, and we mentioned that 30 of them on the feet or the arm of their quarterback, Husney. Third down and 4. Out of the shotgun, Stanzione. Looks to throw, scrambles, has a man, caught in the flat. First down, Braves.
That was a great catch there by Vincent Ellis, and he just kind of leaked out of the backfield and kind of found an open spot there in the defense, and Stanzione got it to him. Look at that. Nobody around him there. He just found that soft spot in the defense, and Stanzione threw a great pass to get it right to him. And first down, and now they're inside the Toms River 40.
So Williamstown with some early success here moving the football. First down and 10 at the 39-yard line of the Mariners. Again, working out of the shotgun. Glenn, it looks like we're going to have a penalty, though. May have had some movement.
I was going to say, that's probably a false start if they're going to blow the play dead.
False start against Williamstown. That'll back them up 5 yards.
That's just the kind of thing they can't afford to do here on this opening drive. A nice pass there on third down, a rare pass to convert that third down, and now it's suddenly 1st and 15.
First down and 15 for the Braves. First quarter, Group 5 championship game, just under 10 minutes remaining, opening drive. Handoff, and nice pickup of about 9. Joe Early, who has been part of that 1-2 punch, combining with Glenn for this Williamstown team.
And Joe Early has over 500 yards himself this season. It was a nice complimentary back, and that was a great run. Found that little hole there on the left side and made it second and manageable again.
Second down, we'll call it 7. Again, backed up as a result of that motion penalty. And Stanzione continues to work out of the shotgun. Handoff right up the gut into the secondary, and more than enough for the first down. Right now, Williamstown really controlling things inside. A little bit of a surprise. Toms River, a very physical football team.
Well, and that was one of the things that I think we were going to have to keep an eye on early, is how that Williamstown offensive line opened up holes against this big Toms River front, and they're doing a great job so far. And this Williamstown offensive line has been pretty impressive. 4 juniors and 1 senior, so most of these guys are going to be back next year. This is an impressive start for the Braves.
You saw in that play just bowling over Mickey Maldonado. Williamstown with the early momentum here. First down and 10 deep in Toms River territory. And now another penalty against the Braves. 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah, unfortunately, the lone senior on that line, Nick Chamberlain, jumped a little bit early there, but 1st and 15 again. But hey, give them credit. They managed to overcome the 1st and 15 on the last before the last first down. So, even despite that, the way that this offensive line is performing, they've got to have a lot of confidence with this opening drive.
1st and 15. Stanzione. Sandwiched between his two backs. Again, it looked like we may have had motion there. And no call. Stanzioni flushed out of the pocket, able to escape across the 30-yard line, across the 20, and he may have the first down. Wow, what a play by Stanzioni.
I thought for sure he was about to be in a sandwich with about 4 Toms River North defenders there, and he stepped up. I mean, watch this. The Toms River North defense gets great push. The guy, number 22 there, coming off the edge, almost has him. He slips out, and suddenly he's got wide open field in front of him down the left sideline.
And Maldonado able to force him out. He did not get enough for the first down. 2nd down and 2 for the senior quarterback. Again, another penalty here.
Yeah, I think that was the slot man there that seemed to jump half a step early.
Earlier today, we saw a football game in Group 1 with Clayton. They had, at a minimum, 13 penalties. They may have had more than that, and they really shot themselves in the foot. Already here early, Williamstown getting themselves into trouble. Just little tic-tac penalties, but you can't afford to do that when you're playing an outstanding football team like Toms River. Toms River, their only loss, a blemish against a very, very good Brick team that is playing in the Central Jersey section for the championship. 2nd down. Again, Stanzione, he'll hand it off. Looking on the edge, still on his feet, driving forward. Quite a run by Early.
Wow, that was really impressive. And again, you know, 3 false start penalties by this offense, but every time they've been able to overcome it with some great blocking and great running. Early, a great job here, getting to the outside, following his blockers, and seeing that hole in between the 2 defenders there, and dragging defenders down to the 10-yard line, and now it's 1st and goal.
I'll tell you, you look at that replay, I know you said following his blockers, it looked like he did it all by himself. That was quite a run by Joe Early. 1st down and goal at the 9-yard line. Williamstown on the opening drive has really controlled things. Just over 8 minutes remaining. This drive consuming about 4 minutes, and that will continue. And Toms River able to stop the surge. Tyrick Glenn went nowhere.
Nice job by defensive tackle Darren Blackwell there for Toms River North. He got into the backfield and disrupted that play. And you know, Glenn maybe made a mistake there of not trying to cut back to the left and instead cut back to the right where the defense was getting its best push forward, and he couldn't get back to the line of scrimmage there.
Toms River in the playoffs defeated both Kingsway and Lenape. The Lenape game particularly. Lenape was a very strong team this year. Not only shut them out 14-0, but did so at Lenape. That's a long bus ride. That shows you the strength of this Toms River defense. Again, the handoff to Early. He'll cut it outside. Early has the edge on his feet. Touchdown. No, they marked him out.
Tell you what, that was a great block on the outside by Glenn to spring him for that pylon. I thought he got it, but they called him out actually at the 3-yard line. Watch Glenn here get that great block to spring him to the outside.
And that's a good call. He did not tuck inside the pylon from this angle. Well, it looked like he got it.
And it looked like that maybe when the tackler, when he broke loose from the tackler, he may have accidentally stepped on the sideline at the 3 there.
So a key 3rd down here, 3rd and 3 for the Braves. Stanzione gives to Glenn, and it's a fumble, and Glenn able to recover. So a bit of a mix-up and a big play made by Toms River to come up with a stop. That was Pete LaQuaglia.
And it looked like Matt Tomaszek was in there as well. But yeah, no, there was definitely an issue with the handoff. He bobbled it, managed to get a hold of it, but yeah, LaQuaglia and then Tomaszek came in to finish it off. So now Williamstown's 4th down. I mean, they have a kicker that can kick from this range. It's just a matter of whether they decide to send him out or not.
So there seems to be a personnel mix-up here, and Williamstown may be forced to burn a timeout. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're still trying to send the play in, and the official just started winding the clock, so they may have gotten a break there.
There is mass confusion out there on the field. Players literally running back and forth to the sideline, and if they don't burn a timeout, I'll be surprised. This is not a play that you want any confusion. 4th down from the 6.
Yeah, they are going to call that timeout.
You know, Frank Fusatola, the head coach of Williamstown, is a guy who's been at this for a long time. Rarely do you see such confusion there, and sometimes it happens. There's just some miscommunication on the sidelines, and again, you got to get it right. You can't afford to give up another 5 yards here, and they've committed themselves to go for the touchdown.
Yeah, and you know, with the momentum that they've gained from this opening drive, being able to move the ball against this Toms River North defense, you don't want to make any mistakes at this point. You want to try and get some points out of this drive, get that early lead, and kind of make a statement against Toms River North.
Ironically, they've had success despite the fact 3 penalties and a bobbled handoff, and yet they're still knocking on the door.
I know, and that's the amazing thing is all those false start penalties, I believe, happened on first down, where suddenly they were put in 1st and 15, and yet the blocking and the running game were able to overcome that, and they got a first down every time.
Here it is, 4th down and goal at the 6-yard line. Empty set, Stanzione. Tucks it under his arm. He's going to angle for the end zone. Hit hard, drives forward, falls short.
Oh.
I tell you, that's a hard-nosed play by Stanzione, but you got to give that Toms River North defense so much credit. Bryce Watts, 6'3", senior, able to stand up. Stanzione, one of the few seniors on this team.
Yep, Stanzione got a little pressure up the middle, thought he saw a lane to the outside, and thought he had everybody beat, but then right there, Bryce Watts was waiting for him and was able to lay the hit on him and keep him out of the end zone. I mean, a great run by Stanzione to get that far.
1st and 10, Toms River and deep in their own end, and they'll run it right up the gut for about a yard. Asante Moore, the ball carrier.
Yeah, Asante Moore has had a heck of a season for them rushing the football, 1,447 yards coming into this game. You know, he's going to be that main back out of the backfield when it's not Husney carrying the ball.
2nd down. And again, it's Husney, who we talked about in the open. And Toms River has a lineman who is favoring 1 foot here. We'll see whether or not they have to make a change.
Husney calling his own number there. That was a design run, no pretense, just took it and ran, and he found some blocking in front of him and got outside the 10, and it looks like he has the 1st down.
So a nice carry there for Husney, not only the 1st down, but giving them some breathing room. They were up against it. Toms River able to operate with some degree of comfort. Husney again brings on Moore. Husney carries, looks, cuts it back, slung down at about the 15, maybe 16-yard line.
And that was Devin Lewis with the tackle there. A nice job coming from the opposite side to come from behind and get Husney down before he could get a big gain. And tell you what, Asante Moore is a great running back, but at that size, 6 foot 210, he's a great blocker in front of Husney too, and that was how they utilized him. And he took on Tariq Glenn there and just completely took him out of the play.
They use Husney almost as a wildcat option.
Yeah.
So Lewis, he'll feature on this defense. Throw out into the flat, and again, very close to another 1st down.
And there's Moore again, now being used as a receiver as well.
Well, we mentioned that Moore is a critical part of this offense, and you can see why right here.
Yeah, had 12 receptions coming into this game. A nice pass, managed to control it, and then broke that 1st tackle and got a couple extra yards.
3rd down and 1. Williamstown would love to hold them here. They would end up with outstanding field position. Toms River able to generate some momentum. Husney is a handful. Handoff inside. That'll be more than enough for the 1st down. And still fighting his way forward is Moore. Toms River kind of giving Williamstown a dose of what they saw.
Yeah, and I tell you what, this Moore kid is pretty impressive early on. I mean, that he broke a couple of tackles there, is dragging defenders along with him. And, Williamstown's not the biggest defense. And, these Toms River kids, for the most part, are pretty big. And, Williamstown's going to have its hands full trying to get these guys down before they can get those couple extra yards. They need to try and get them in second and long, third and long situations.
First down and 10 from the 29-yard line. Toms River again moving the ball well. Right up the gut, about 5 yards. And we talked about the physicality of the Mariners. We're seeing it in their offensive line.
Yeah, they seem to be getting a pretty good push there and, taking it right up the gut and making it 2nd and 4 and, giving them, an easy look here and, really kind of letting Toms River open up the playbook if they want to, and they can run pretty much anything they want here.
4 receivers set. Husney, quarterback draw, nothing doing, and Husney is absolutely smashed back behind the line of scrimmage. Williamstown with a big defensive stop by Dondre Dodson.
Wow. He thought he saw something with that draw, and then suddenly Dodson was there to plug up that hole.
Now, you got to give Dodson a lot of credit. Beat his man to the spot, and then had the strength to hold on to Husney's jersey and negate any gain for the junior quarterback.
Dodson's one of those big guys on that front line. Junior, 6'3", 295. And for Husney at 160, that's not a favorable matchup.
Husney again, empty backfield, throws across the middle, and it's caught. The slant across the middle, and that will take Toms River to about the 44-yard line. They are moving the ball with efficiency and alacrity.
Darian Carrington there with the reception, held on to the ball there as he got hit, and first down Toms River. And they're running it already.
And Toms River is really starting to impose their will. It's been an interesting first quarter. Inside of 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this first quarter, referees will look for a measurement.
Yeah, they kind of ran the hurry up there out of that first down play, trying to get up on there and keep Williamstown from making any substitutions on defense and try and catch them off guard a little bit. And Moore goes for another 10 yards and close to another first down.
So Carrington with the nice reception there, Toms River. We mentioned before that Husney is a threat, and we can see already that he has great feet, but he also has a strong arm. 2,481 all-purpose yards and accounting for 53 touchdowns over the last 2 years. This is a kid that understands that he is the man on this team. Tremendous competitiveness according to the coaching staff, and that's why he's such a great leader. 13 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, a 60% complete percentage. So Williamstown with their hands full today.
And that's one of the ththings that I was going to note, that 60% completion percentage. You like to see 60 and above at the high school level, and he's right there at it. And again, only 4 interceptions at this point in the season. He's doing a good job taking care of the football and making sure that offense maintains possession.
2nd and 1. Husney. Bounce back. And they will give him forward progress to the 45-yard line. So another first down. Just so impressed right now with Toms River. This drive started at their 1-yard line. And just a nice play mix, some skill at the athletic spots, and some good decision making.
Yeah, and mostly on the ground. They did hit the one pass to Carrington and the little screen pass to Moore out on the flat, but they're getting it done. And again, it all starts with that offensive line up front, and they're getting good push, giving Husney time to make decisions and run or throw the football.
Husney will hand it off and pick up about 5. Sante Moore has been having himself quite a first drive.
And maybe one of the big differences, we noted that Williamstown had the 3 false start penalties on their drive. Toms River North, no penalties so far. They're just moving the ball down the field.
2nd down and 5, and when you can pick up 4 or 5 yards on first down, it just opens up your playbook. Sante Moore in the backfield with Husney. And it's going to be Moore again. Moore. And Moore takes it to the 35.
More than they can handle.
More is never enough.
I think we may have come up with a new slogan for them. So. And, Moore's a senior. He's being heavily recruited. They're checking his academics to make sure that he's eligible. But, he's a guy that a lot of D1 schools, I talked to the AD, and West Virginia's been in, Pitt's been in to look at him, and some other kids, too. They have some other D1 talent on this team.
1st and 10. Husney back to pass. Throws, has a man, and just too far for his wide receiver. 2nd down.
Yeah, that impressive arm again. But,
he does. He's got to just reel it in a little bit.
2nd and 10.
Yeah, I don't know that he really had him there because the safety was coming over and it was going to end up being double coverage by the time I got down there. But
interesting call. Toms River's had success on 1st down, as we mentioned, picking up 4 and 5 yards at a pop. Obviously, maybe expecting Williamstown to kind of cheat on the run. Up the middle, Moore. Driving forward, Moore. Cut down after a pickup of about 8.
And again, because Moore is having such success running the football, they can afford to throw it on 1st down and run the ball like that on 2nd and 10 because now they've still got 3rd and short. And he's not getting hit until 5-6 yards downfield at least.
And he's taking 2 tacklers with him. 3rd down and 2. This drive started at the 1-yard line. Little end around across the 15 down towards the 10-yard line, the 20-yard line, and that'll be enough for the 1st down across the 25 to the 20. But there is a penalty flag, and now this is something we saw previously with Williamstown. They had typically motion penalties here, a face mask again against Williamstown, so they continue to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, and that was a new wrinkle for Toms River with that little end around like that, and looks like, looks like 75 there as he reached for him, as he ran by, grabbed that face mask and pulled him down. So that's extra yardage, and now it's 1st and goal for the Mariners.
1st and goal, Toms River North.
Ball spotted just inside the 10-yard line. They cannot make another 1st down. Right up the gut. Again, driving forward. This drive continues to be a blue-collar drive, just imposing their will. Asante Moore has illustrated some of that speed and escapability, but primarily the strength that we've heard of coming into tonight. And that'll do it for the 1st quarter. It's been a tightly played 1st quarter. Both teams just one drive. We're scoreless on your Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week, the Group 5 championship game. Welcome back to Rowan University. We start the 2nd quarter. Husney with the football, finds a seam, touchdown!
Mike Husney on the carry.
I think Williamstown is so focused on Moore there as much as he's gashed them in this drive. That fake handoff really fooled the defense just enough for Husney to find some space up the middle.
There you see some of the Toms River faithful who have made a long trip up Route 70. And it is the Mariners who strike first. 6-0 Toms River, a 99-play drive. 6 first downs on the drive. Very impressive. And now they will look to add to it with the extra point. Kick is up. It is good.
And the kick is good.
Kyle Beha there with the PAT.
2nd quarter, it's Toms River North 7, Williamstown no score.
Let's take a look. Husney finds a seam, spins through the defense, almost untouched.
Yeah, that was some great blocking up front. I don't think I saw just how good that blocking was on when it happened live, but they got a huge push and opened up a big hole for him up the middle.
Well, we mentioned before that Toms River, an impressive defensive team, and Williamstown was knocking on the door. A little surprised that they opted to go for it there as opposed to trying a field goal.
Yeah, we talked to Frank before the game, and he said his kicker would be good from 30, 35 yards. He's got a couple of different kickers that he uses. Vladimir Keenan and Kevin Gilmore. Vladimir Keenan primarily the place kicker. but for some reason they decided. I think maybe they wanted to try and get that early touchdown to get that 7-point lead. But by the same token, when they lost the yardage back to the 6, heading into 4th down, I think that maybe signaled that they should have gone for the field goal there.
Jesse Stanley to kick it away for Toms River as we're just 4 seconds into this second quarter. Kick drives Williamstown back to the 7-yard line. Across the 20, finds a seam up the middle, still on his feet. He may go all the way. No, hit at midfield by Stanley.
Wow, that was a great tackle by Stanley, the last man at back. But Anani Moore there, junior, 5'5", little guy, found the seam and broke up the middle and nearly broke it for the distance.
What can you say? Just great blocking and tremendous vision.
Oh yeah, that was some great vision there to see those holes and slip through them. And at 5'5", I mean, that's, you see guys like that, all the way up to the pros. Those smaller guys like Darren Sproles and people like that who just have that ability to find those little holes, and they don't need as big a hole because they're smaller guys. And if they have speed, that can be a deadly combination.
Well, Williamstown needed that after the protracted drive, and they'll run it right up the gut for a nice pickup. When in doubt, go to Glenn.
Absolutely. And, and that's a great call and a great job by Glenn of getting some good yardage on 1st down. They moved the ball well that first drive, just fizzled out around the goal line. And, now they only have to move half the field to get into the end zone and hopefully tie this game up.
2nd down, we'll call it 3. All at the 42-yard line of the Mariners. Stanzione directing traffic, moves Glenn over. And it's Glenn. Glenn met almost immediately, and he may pick up 1 or 2 yards at most.
Yeah, that was number 43, Darren Blackwell, again, that defensive tackle. 6'1", 230 with the first hit, and he just stood Glenn up, and Glenn got nowhere from there, and then he got plenty of help to bring him down.
Bring up 3rd and 2.
So 3rd down and 2. This is a drive that started an excellent field position. Williamstown looking to answer after Toms River scored on their first drive of the evening.
Stanzione fixing Glenn's helmet there.
Some personal grooming. 3rd down and 2. Stanzione keeps, finds a seam, drives forward, and it's going to depend on the spot. Very close. It looks like he may be just a little bit short.
Not the most favorable spot for him, and it'll all depend on the sticks, and they're going to have to bring him out, I think, to measure this one. Nope, not even going to bring him out.
4th down, stick on the other side of the 40-yard line. So about 1.5 feet to go for a Williamstown 1st down. Fusatola does not hesitate. They're going for it here.
Yeah, no indecision like there was on that 4th down play down into the goal line.
Stanzione with Early and Glenn in the backfield. And they call timeout. There was some confusion. You could see the coaches.
Well, the flag just came from the back judge. I think they were about to get a delay of game call.
Well, again, on the sideline, you could see Fusatola talking with his assistants there, and they just weren't on the same page. And this is just very unusual for a Frank Fusatola coach team. We saw that earlier in the game where there was some confusion. And, a lot of times when you get into a game like this, when there's so much on the line, obviously emotions are heightened, the nervousness factor is increased, and things like this happen.
Yeah, this is something you might have seen in Frank's early days at Williamstown when the team was still struggling and they were trying to establish themselves. But over the past several years, he's put that coaching staff in place that he's really happy with. He delegates what he needs to delegate, takes care of what he needs to take care of. And this is usually a very well-oiled machine that runs very smoothly, has a lot of confidence in itself, knows exactly what it wants to do. And this indecision, like you said, is a little bit surprising from this team.
4th down, about 1.5 feet. Again, same set. Stanzione now working underneath center. He'll keep, and he'll have more than enough for the first down.
Great job by that left side of the line there for Williamstown, getting that push. Mark Wolf, left tackle. Dylan Daisy, left guard. Bill McGrath, the center, really got a nice push. And, Stanzioni had no problem, falling ahead for the first down.
Approaching the 9-minute mark remaining in this first half. 1st and 10, ball at the 38. High snap, handoff, Glenn, still driving, cut down, pickup of about 3. Another penalty flag here, and there is a player down on the field for Toms River.
Looks like a leg injury of some kind. Leg or maybe ankle.
It's Anthony Storino, the linebacker, the 6'2" senior. And he's a big part of this defense. Let's take a look on the replay, see if we can find it. There you see it right there. Just looks like he got rolled up on.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And that was Joe Nardoza, 77, and Deshaun Copes, a couple of defensive linemen there that made that tackle. Copes is a D1 prospect there, 6'1", 280. Already has some looks from Liberty, offers from Liberty and Army.
So that's a good sign, as the big linebacker, Anthony Storino, walks it off. We hope to see him return.
Storino over 70 tackles on the season. They don't want to lose somebody like that out of the middle of that defense.
5-yard penalty on Williamstown, takes the ball back to 43-yard line.
So again, Williamstown guilty of a penalty. That'll back them up 5 yards. First down and 15 now at the 43-yard line of Toms River.
After that first drive, 1st and 15 is a comfort zone for them. So
they have had 6 penalties now, 1 declined already. We're just in the first half.
And there's another one.
Go down to the field and see if we can get an indication of what the infraction was.
I believe it was a false start because they did stop the play. But now it's 1st and 20. And man, this lack of discipline is really surprising.
Very surprising. First down and 20. Stanzione can throw the football. We'll see if they opt to go to the air here. Again, one of the things you want to do is just try to take a little bit. Don't worry about getting the first 10 or 15 yards back here. Another penalty.
Delay of game.
Well,
I don't really even know what to say about this.
it's just rare. You're seeing a team lose its composure here after a very successful drive, and they're just continuing to be their own worst enemy. And one of the mistakes teams make is typically they try to get it all back right away, and they just have to stay in their lanes. A turnover would be a backbreaker here. Glenn in the backfield. Stanzione throws, has a man, and that could have been a touchdown. Well, Williamstown had an opportunity to break one. Victor Ruggiano was wide open, and Stanzione just missed him.
Yep, had him, and I think just led him a little bit too much down the sideline there. But yeah, I mean, if he catches that ball in stride.
If you're Toms River, you breathe sigh of relief because there's no reason for someone to get behind you when it's first down and 25. Stanzione flushed out of the pocket, looks, keeps, and gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it.
forced out of bounds.
Now you need that 25-yard play out of your playbook.
Well, again, if you're going to think that way, you may want to just think of throwing a long bomb and using it as a punt if it's intercepted. But it's tough, at the high school level to come up with a play where you have a quarterback who has the arm strength to throw one down the field 25 yards.
I mean, they are back near midfield now, so maybe you just run it and then try and pin Toms River deep with a punt and, try and get your defense back out on the field to make some plays and flip the field.
Stanzione, again, keeps across midfield, maintains his balance, and now stood up and driven down.
Rich Stanzione on the carry.
Well, he got back a few of those yards, and now Williamstown will be punting from the Toms River side of the field. We'll see. You want that punt here to really pin Toms River North deep and force them to make another long drive like that. Of course, the 99-yard drive didn't seem to hurt that much last time, but
Carrington deep for Toms River North.
So it's Darian Carrington right there in your picture. Number 4, we saw him earlier with a fine catch back to receive the punt of Williamstown. The punt is away. It's a high punt, and it bounces and will be down inside the 5-yard line. So that's about as good as Williamstown can hope for. Kind of interesting. No one knew where the ball was, but they found it and downed it.
Well, I mean, the Carrington there, I think, kind of fooled everybody. I think he saw it was going over his head and stepped up, and the defense was watching him, and the ball was 10 yards behind him.
Well, Toms River, with absolutely miserable field position on the first drive, scored a touchdown.
Yep. And
this is not appreciably better.
No. Well, it's only 97 this time.
That's right.
So. And I tell you what, maybe one of the best things about that is the guy that downed that ball was Wade Inge, a freshman, who found the ball and was able to down that ball inside the 5.
Husney again in the end zone, working out of the shotgun, directing traffic, and we have some movement. So we've had our fair share of penalties already.
And it's finally a penalty on Toms River North for a change, which Williamstown's got to be thrilled with, even if it's only a yard and a half.
That's right, a grand total of a yard and a half.
Now suddenly the drive's 98.
That's right. First down and 11 and a half. Husney keeps, and he is met, but look at the strength of Husney. Continues to fight. And Husney picks up a nice chunk on first down.
And again, Husney not getting D1 looks at 5'10", 160. For that size, man, he's got some strength, and he can push when he gets hit after that first hit. And
I think 5'10" is a little generous too.
Well, it might be.
Second down and 4. Handoff inside Moore, and he picks up about 2. So critical third down for this Williamstown defense.
And that's a good job by the defense there to, once he got to the 10, to stop him there and force them to make a play here on third down. So the defense needs to come through here and make one big play to force Toms River to punt from inside their own end zone.
Approaching the 6-minute mark, third down and 2. Husney again, directing traffic. He'll keep, looks inside, drives forward, and it looks like he had enough.
Yep. Glenn, and then he got some help there from Marcellus Battle to bring him down, but
first down, Toms River North.
And that's what makes Husney so tough. Just a competitor. High motor, found a seam, got the job done. First and 10 for Toms River. Husney keeps once again, strings it outside, and now he's going to be met by a host of Braves. Ball comes loose, and they're going to rule the football down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the ground caused that fumble. So,
but I tell you what, the first thing you look at is Husney. He pops right up, and he's ready to go again. You got to love that kid.
But if you are the Williamstown defense, that's what you want to do, is try and punish him when he makes a play like that. I mean, and that was a great fake handoff there to Moore. I mean, I think he fooled everybody at first, including the camera guy for a second. But, the defense did a good job of not letting him get too far outside once he got out there.
Approaching 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Toms River on top 7-0. Ball spotted at the 15-yard line. Again, a little end around, and just not much there for Bryce Watts.
Great job there by the Williamstown defense to sniff that out. I mean, they had that side loaded with blockers, but Williamstown defense did a great job, and it was the guys out of the secondary that came up and made that play.
Third down. 7 to go from the 16-yard line. Toms River again working out of the shotgun. Husney throws against the grain. Little screen set up, and Moore will come up short.
Again, another great job by the Williamstown defense, especially in the open field against Moore, who's had a lot of success between the tackles of getting that open field tackle and not letting him get to the sticks.
Toms River forced to punt it away. This will be their first punt of the evening.
On only their second drive of the evening with under 4 minutes to go in the first half.
Yeah, that's a great point. Kind of a crazy first half already. And Toms River, despite only having 2 drives, own a 7-point edge.
And Onani Moore's back. He's the one that ran that kickoff back to midfield.
Good snap. It's a low line drive. Moore takes it at his own 43. Moore still on his feet and dragged down from behind inside of Toms River territory. So Williamstown will have great field position, but of course we have another penalty.
And I tell you what, that low line drive,
it's going against Williamstown.
Question is it
Well, they're saying Toms River. Toms River was clapping before, so obviously the assumption was that it was going against Williamstown.
And it must have been on the end of that return.
Now, I got it right. The referee got it wrong.
Wow. You wonder what that personal foul was on a punt return. But it's going to
Well,
cost
you know, a lot of
Williamstown
times you get those
15
late
yards.
blocks, and they'll mark off the 15 yards.
But those will usually be like a block in the back or something, not a personal foul call. But wow, that really kills that return. You know, instead of starting over midfield, now they're inside their own 40. Wow, Williamstown just can't get out of its own way tonight so far.
Well, as we mentioned, Toms River with only 2 drives tonight, one starting from the 1-yard line, the other starting from the 3-yard line, which then had a penalty that backed them up to the 1.5-yard line, and yet they have the lead 7-0.
And the interesting thing here is, remember, Williamstown had to use 2 timeouts earlier in this half. So now they're inside their own 40 trying to get down and tie this game up, and they've only got 1 timeout.
1st and 10 for Stanzione. He hands it off to Glenn. Glenn looks to drive inside, not a whole lot there. And he'll pick up maybe 2. You know, if you're Williamstown, you're probably disappointed because you had an opportunity to score on that first drive. And you think about it, you've controlled the clock to some degree, and you have nothing to show for it. But on the other hand, you say, listen, we're only trailing by 7, and look at all the mistakes that we've made.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think they're going to have to try and spin this positively in the locker room at halftime.
Out of the shotgun. Stanzione flushed out, looks to throw, and he'll just safely waste the ball and look to live for a 3rd down.
Yeah, that was an interesting call there because I guess it looked like a handoff first and then he dropped back, but by then the Toms River line had kind of broken through and he got flushed out before he could really set his feet and look downfield.
Well, after that first drive, they have stumbled. And on that first drive, everything was going their way, despite the penalties, until that bad exchange. 3rd down on the handoff. Here's Early. Early, across midfield, Early, on his way to the end zone. Touchdown! 61 yards, and Joe Early has answered the Mariners.
Wow, that was such an impressive run by Joe Early. He found the seam on the right side. To be honest, it looked like he was going to be happy to get that first down, but then he threaded between two defenders here. You'll see near the first down sticks. He gets through there, and suddenly he just outran everybody. I mean, that was amazing. I thought those Toms River North defenders, that last line, had the angle on him there on the sideline and would at least push him out of bounds, but he managed to beat him.
Extra point is up. And good, we are tied at 7. Early just tried to get to the edge. He had Tyreek Glenn leading the way, engaged in the block, saw a seam, and then it was just off to the races, just sheer athleticism.
Yep, and that solves the problem of the drive and the timeouts and everything else, and solves a lot of the problems that they've had here so far in the first half. And now Williamstown's tied it up, and now maybe, who knows, maybe if the defense makes another stop here on this series, they can go into to the locker room with some real momentum.
Well, Early, we talked about Glenn, but of course they have so many different weapons. We've talked about that before, but Early really showcasing his abilities. And again, he's a kid that has put Williamstown in a situation where they can continue to add to the championship banner total as a result of his efforts throughout the year.
And, third on the team in rushing behind Glenn and Stanzioni, but and only 6 touchdowns. But, man, I mean, that was an impressive run and really showcased his speed and his escapability.
So with 2:30 left, we'll see whether or not we will head to the half. Knotted at 7. Toms River again. Multifaceted offense, skippered by Husney, who is equally dangerous with his feet and his arm.
And that'll be interesting to see how they utilize him on this drive down, with the game tied with 3 timeouts and 2.5 minutes left in the half.
And you can just get a palpable sense that Williamstown has really turned their fortunes around. A lot more confidence coming from that side of the field, and good stop on special teams. If you're Toms River, you say, hey, you know what, this is the best we've had all day.
Yep, that was Andrew Daniluk on the return, but the Williamstown kick coverage was pretty darn good there, and Toms River will have to start inside their own 30.
Early 6 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown already in this first half. So Toms River will take care of business here with 2:26 left. Ball at the 27-yard line, first down and 10, and they'll start with an empty backfield.
And, when Glenn is going to get as much attention as he is from that Toms River North defense, you need a guy like Early to step up, and he really has so far.
More confusion on the field. We've seen a lot of football today, Chappie, 3 different games, and it seems like the bookends have had something that you would probably see in the first game of the year. Just the penalties, the confusion on the field, the indecisions.
And I think in Clayton's case, their first appearance in a final in 25 years. Some young guys on that team, and I think maybe that was just a little bit of inexperience at that stage, on this kind of a field, playing in front of 5,000 fans. Maybe that had something to do with it. This game, Williamstown's used to this. I mean, Williamstown, gets huge crowds at their home games. Their stands are almost as big as these are here in Rowan, so it's not like they don't play in front of big crowds. So they should be used to this. This is, like we've said so many times already, this half is a little bit surprising, but for once the indecision seemed to be on Toms River North's part, and they had to take a time out there to figure out how they want to attack this Williamstown defense after getting stuffed last time.
I don't know if you noticed, but Tim Peterson literally running out there with one leg, and it's interesting because as an offensive lineman, I guess he's just going to be in pass protection, but he has absolutely no mobility. So keep an eye on number 73 for Toms River North.
As a senior, I'm sure he doesn't want to come off the field.
1st and 10, Moore in the backfield with Husney. And the handoff is to Moore. Moore still on his feet and pushes forward to about the 35-yard line. A nice pickup on 1st down. And Toms River looks to go no huddle.
And, you know, I tell you what, Moore is a big guy, but he runs kind of like a smaller guy and finds those tiny holes and is slipping through and getting to the 2nd level. And Williamstown's really going to shut that down, or else Toms River North's going to have a chance to get back in this.
Yeah, it's interesting here because Toms River is in no hurry whatsoever. Kind of surprising after the nice pickup on 1st down. 1:50 and counting. We're tied at 7. Husney back to pass, flushed out of the pocket. Draws the defense, throws to a man, and it looks like it's enough for a 1st down. I tell you, it looked like Toms River may have gotten away with a motion penalty.
And junior Kenny Cook with the reception there steps out of bounds to get the 1st down, but
That's good for Toms River North, 1st down.
1st and 10, Toms River. 1:40 left at the 38-yard line. Again, an empty backfield for Husney. Husney keeps about 3.
great job again. That's Glenn playing both ways, getting that 1st hit. And while Husney got free, Dondre Dodson again with the tackle to keep it to a minimal game and keep that clock running. And like you said, Toms River North's not calling timeout here. Still 1:20 left, but time's quickly running out.
Surprised?
I mean, I'm a little surprised that they're not you know, a little more ready to run this no huddle.
Husney back to pass, setting up the screen. Inside screen, and punished on the play is Bryce Watts.
Kevin Lewis on the tackle.
Devin Lewis, the linebacker there, 6'1", 230 senior. He came up, you know, I think the Watts there thought he had more room than he did, and he got leveled by Lewis.
Let's take a look. They set up the screen well, but I don't think it fooled anybody.
No, I mean, once those linemen got through so easily, Williamstown knows it's a screen, but
We talked before, Devin Lewis, such a big part of this defense, another big play there. 3rd down and 7. Husney back to pass, gets flushed out, has a man, it's a jump ball, and that finds its way out of bounds. So 16 seconds left, and it'll be a punt here for Toms River.
Yeah, he tried to find Moore down the sideline, but that pass just drifted outside the sideline there and out of bounds where Moore didn't have a play on it. So, but yeah, no, Devin Lewis, 50 tackles in the season coming into this game. You know, one of many guys on this defense that just you know, is kind of indispensable. 6 tackles for loss. Tommy Donovan back to punt, and that's Moore back to receive again. We'll see if he has a chance to return it.
Punt is away, and it looks like we have another penalty here. It's going to bounce and picked up and almost fumbled. That is not a good decision there by Moore. Very surprised that he tried to pick that ball up. No reason to do so. Nothing good could have happened there, and a holding penalty against Toms River.
I almost wonder if you know you've only got 1 play left in the half. Maybe you make them repunt, see if Moore can get a better chance at a punt return in this last play.
I would. Why not? Maybe get a bad snap, or maybe
yeah,
a block.
Maybe a block, yeah, anything. I mean, I think you got a better chance scoring that way than you do running a play from your own 20 here with 5 seconds left.
It certainly didn't work out well for Michigan. So that's exactly what they will do. Just 5 seconds left, and you know, I wouldn't. If I was Toms River, I wouldn't even punt it. I would just run an offensive play. Just have a go pattern and just heave it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that does make a fair amount of sense. They're lining up for the punt though.
High snap. And that's why I'm surprised that they actually punted the football. Taken at the 28-yard line, Moore will race out of bounds, and that will end things in the first half. An evenly played game. Toms River North and Williamstown in the Group 5 championship game are knotted at 7 on your Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week. We'll have more for you in just a moment. Welcome back to Rowan University. About to begin the second half, the Group 5 state championship game. The Mariners of Toms River North and the Braves of Williamstown, your Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week. Toms River will start the second half, receiving the kick of Williamstown, who won the toss and elected to receive to start things. It's a low-line drive. It'll be picked up at the 6-yard line. Crossing the 20, the 30, and finally cut down to about the 38-yard line, 32-yard return. Well, needless to say, the best field position of the night for Toms River. There's a look at the half, the total plays, the yardage, the first downs, and one stat we don't have, the penalties.
Yeah.
And that's really been a thorn in the side of Williamstown.
Yeah, Williamstown really has to shape that up here in the second half. We can't afford to keep giving Toms River extra opportunities.
Handoff inside about 5. And Moore has been the guy who has carried most of the weight in that first half. A lot of Moore and a nice-sized dose of Husney.
Yeah, and if you notice those halftime stats, Williamstown had the total yardage edge largely because of that early 61-yard touchdown run, but Williamstown's moved the ball when they've had it, and apart from that 199-yard scoring drive that Toms River North had, they really haven't moved the ball much at all.
Second down and 5. Again, on the ground, Toms River trying to gear up like they did on their first drive of the first half. And another first down here for Toms River. They look like they've come out with a bolt of energy.
Yeah, I think they maybe have a little bit of chip on their shoulder. I think they expected, I think they thought a lot of their chances of coming in and knocking off Williamstown here. And I think being tied at the half, maybe a little bit of a fire under them. And, you know, who knows what Coach Dave Oswitz said at halftime, but maybe he lit a fire under him too.
Well, there's no tomorrow, as they say. Moore in motion, and it's going to be Husney. Husney keeps into the secondary. Husney still driving forward. First down, Toms River. And there is a Toms River lineman on the ground reeling in pain.
And that's Matthew Melamed, the junior, and as you noted, Tim Peterson's already hobbling, so.
Here you see the run by Husney, and you just see him continue to drive the legs, continue to work, and that's why he's such a special player.
And, you know, I tell you what, that handoff, that fake handoff there was kind of reminiscent a little bit of some of the better plays that Delsey makes in that wing tee.
First and 10. Moore cuts it, spins, drives, very close to another first down, and right now they're carving up this Williamstown defense.
Tell you what, man, that line's getting a good push, and Husney and Moore are having great success finding those seams and getting upfield. Not a lot of east and west running, very north-south, spinning out of tackles, getting that extra yardage, and just pushing this Williamstown defense back on its heels.
Second down and 9. Again, it's Husney with the empty backfield, working essentially out of the Wildcat, and Husney with the first down.
Yeah, that was easy on 2nd and 1. Just load up that left side and run behind those blockers.
Smith on the tackle. First down, Toms River North.
And Toms River's knocking on the door here already.
Well, they've come out with a purpose. 9:40 and counting remaining. Third quarter, opening drive for Toms River. Moore is in motion. And the handoff will go to the big guy. Toms River stopped after a short pickup. We'll call it 1 or 2 yards. Darren Blackwell, the ball carrier.
That's his first carry of the night. Normally playing solely defense at defensive tackle, but lining up there as fullback. And getting a carry and giving Moore and Husney a little bit of a breather there.
3 yards, 2nd and 7.
We'll call it 3, 2nd down and 7. Again, Husney, empty backfield. Sprints to his left, looks, reads, and dropped for a loss. Fine play made defensively for Williamstown. I would be remiss if I did not mention that Williamstown comes into this game and this season with heavy hearts. Before the year started, their teammate Darius Boyer drowned, and this season has in large part been dedicated to Darius Boyer. And speaking with Frank Fusatola before the game, I asked him how important has that been to the kids. He said it's been extraordinarily important. Someone that they keep close to their hearts and always on their minds, and has been a source of motivation for them. Handoff inside, and again, you just have to love the 2nd and 3rd efforts that both Husney and Moore have been giving this Mariners team consistently.
And that's the confidence of that Toms River North front to run it on 3rd and 8 with Moore, just an off-tackle play, and you see him get close to the 1st down, but he's going to be just short, and it's going to be 4th and a couple here for Toms River North. Big stop here for the Williamstown defense if they can get it.
Well, Toms River right on the periphery of what their field goal kicker's range is, so 4th down and 2. And Husney just runs straight into the line, and there's absolutely nothing there. Interesting play call, and, that's just kind of, listen, we're going to impose our will, we're going to push you, and we're going to get a 1st down, and Williamstown was having none of it.
Well, and, early in that drive, they had such success getting huge push from the line and finding big holes for the running backs, and Husney just found nothing there. The Williamstown front did not move at all, and he was at least a full yard short of that 1st down.
In many ways, it's reminiscent of Williamstown's opening drive. They really had their way all the way down the field, and all of a sudden came to a screeching halt when it looked like they had an opportunity to kick a field goal. Toms River kind of replicated that.
And a big part of that was that 2nd down stop by Nate Taylor, the backup linebacker there for Williamstown, forcing that 3rd and long.
Williamstown will again run the football, and Stanzione picks up maybe 2. He looks a little shaken up.
Couldn't find a lot of running room there, and it's going to be 2nd and long.
You can see it looks like he suffered a blow to his right shoulder. And of course, Stanzione does have the ability to throw the football, but it looks like he's favoring that shoulder.
And he's still trying to get that loose.
See Tyrick Glenn in the backfield. Husney directing traffic. Stanzione directing traffic. Back to pass. Throws underneath. And maybe that's an indication of the arm injury.
Maybe. It looked like he held on to that ball a little bit too long, and Victor Ruggiano really didn't have any chance at all to catch that ball. That ball bounced 3 yards in front of him, but and now Ruggiano's limping.
At the 18-yard line.
Yeah, there's that 1st down play.
It looked relatively benign.
Yeah, it didn't really look like he went down hard on his shoulder, but he must have gotten walloped somewhere.
And again, as you mentioned, you got a Williamstown player who's shaken up, and he's still out on the field.
Yeah, Ruggiano's lined up wide right, but he's not 100% right now, it doesn't look like.
3rd down, out of the shotgun, the pitch. And this play never had a chance. Early was hit often.
And that's that outside linebacker, senior Christian Lynch for Toms River North, making a big play there. And he was waiting for that pitch, and he was there. It looked like he was almost assigned to Early, and as soon as Early got that pitch, he was on top of him.
Darian Carrington, the 6'3" junior, back to receive the punt.
Kevin Gilmore, the senior, 6'3" as well, back to punt for Williamstown.
High snap. Gilmore's punt is short. Fair catch called for and taken at the 43-yard line.
Tell you what, that almost looked like it slipped right through his arms there. It's kind of a catch off to the side, and but he held on to it, and now Toms River's going to have great field position to start this next drive.
6:14 left. Right now, each team kind of counter-punching. looking to deliver the knockout blow. Still a lot of football to be played here. And if you're Toms River, have not thrown the football a whole lot.
No, they haven't thrown it all this half. And, it's going to be interesting to see if they go to the air at all. They got 4 wide here.
Moore. And Moore, again. I tell you, what impresses me about Moore is second, third contact. He's still driving, picking up an additional 2 or 3 yards, and that adds up over the night.
Oh, yeah, it looked like they stood him up for a 1 or 2 yard gain, and then he fell forward for another 3 yards there.
4 receivers set. Here's Husney. He keeps Husney on his way to the secondary, spins off a man, brought down at about the 23-yard line, a huge hole. And again, you see the explosiveness of Husney.
I tell you what, man, when he takes that snap and fakes that handoff, I mean, you watch, he fakes that handoff, and man, he is at full speed in a hurry down the field. And that Williamstown defense was not expecting it, and he was 10 yards downfield.
Moore on the carry, about 4 yards. Toms River, a drive reminiscent of their first of the night, where they traveled 99 yards to score their only touchdown. They're just kind of hammering the ball inside and trying to utilize the muscle.
And no huddle, too. They're trying to catch this Williamstown defense off guard.
Husney again, and taken down from behind, able to drag a tackler about 2 or 3 yards, and that'll bring up a critical 3rd down once again.
That was Dylan Daisy coming from behind to make the stop. A nice job by him to keep Husney from getting close to that 1st down. Now it's 3rd and 5 or 6 here for Toms River North, and another big 3rd down chance for this Williamstown defense to make a stop here.
Husney, quick drop. Flushed out of the pocket. Scrambles, throws, up for grabs, tipped up, intercepted.
Wow. That's a great play there by Eric Smith, the defensive end, back in coverage. 6'2", 210, back in coverage, and he just outleaped the defense there, or outleaped the offense there. But I tell you what, that was set up. Watch here on the replay. As he gets ready to throw, he gets hammered, and I think that took something off the throw and allowed Smith there to make that play on defense.
Well, Smith with the big play. Husney just threw it up for grabs, and probably a decision he'd like to have back, but as you mentioned, he was hit hard as he released the football. Williamstown's defense holds once again, 4:31 left. We're tied at 7 in this 3rd quarter of the Group 5 championship game, and right now, it's a battle of 2 defenses. We talked about that in the open.
Yep, and Joe Early again finding no running room with that defense in the backfield. That's Deshaun Copes again, Liberty and Army recruits, 6'1", 280.
Well, that's a whole lot of young man right there.
Showing some speed for someone that size, getting back in the backfield and bringing down Early, who already showed his speed on that touchdown run earlier.
2nd down and 15 after the 5-yard loss. Stanzione keeps, and he drives forward. He'll pick up maybe 6 yards, and now 3rd down.
They're going to be back to the original line of scrimmage and have a 3rd and 10 coming up, and Williamstown's really got to – they really need to convert this just to get out of the shadow of their own goalpost and to try and keep Toms River from getting the ball back somewhere near midfield again.
Well, we saw Stanzione's shoulder looked a little banged up earlier. His only pass fell short of his intended target. We'll see what happens here. And now it looks like we may have a timeout on the field.
Toms River North calls timeout.
So the Mariners opt to call timeout. Critical 3rd down at 3:18. Remember, the ball spotted at the 20-yard line. 3rd down and 10 for the Braves. And again, you're in a situation where, as you mentioned, you want to move the football to ensure that you don't give away good field position. But on the other hand, you have to play it relatively conservatively because a turnover could be a problem here.
Yeah, and I think maybe Toms River North called that timeout because I think maybe they were surprised to see Williamstown come out in that 4-wide empty backfield set. I think even when Williamstown spreads the field, they still usually have a running back in the backfield there earlier, Glenn, and with everybody out of the backfield and Stanzione by himself back there, maybe they didn't like the defense that they had called for that. But, it'll be interesting to see what Williamstown comes back with out of this timeout. I'm sure they're not going to give them the exact same look and see if Williamstown can convert this here. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Stanzione has to throw the ball, what his arm looks like, and whether he can find an open receiver and get it to him.
Williamstown started their season with a momentous win over Shawnee, 49-17. Of course, Shawnee will be here at Rowan tomorrow in the Group 4 championship game. Working out of the shotgun, empty set. Stanzione throws, has his man, but misses his target, Smith.
And again, I think that the pressure that he felt from that was Darren Blackwell. We keep calling his name on defense, and Deshaun Copes, both in the backfield, putting pressure on Stanzione. Maybe made him throw the ball a little bit before he wanted to, and that throw was well behind Smith. He really had no chance to make the catch there.
So, Williamstown forced to punt it away to that man, Darian Carrington. Good snap, good punt, backing Carrington up. Carrington takes it at his 34-yard line. Now back to the 40, across midfield, and finally banged out of bounds.
Yeah, that kick was great in the sense that it drove Carrington back, but it also outkicked the coverage and gave Carrington a chance to find some room to make that return.
Carrington with an athletic play here. Not an easy play by any stretch of the imagination. Started at his 36-yard line, and he had a couple good blocks there on the field. One looked to be questionable, but I tell you what, Toms River laying out the lumber now.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Dale, the tough thing for kick coverage is you don't want to get that kick interference penalty on the receiver, so you really got to be careful, and I think that gave him a little bit of room to operate there on that play.
Shotgun snap, Husney on his feet, looking to cut it back, and look at the driving tackle made by Williamstown, a pair of
Tariq
grapes. Tariq Glenn, who usually does his punishing offensively, really answering the Toms River surge. Onani Moore helped him out as well.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of that hit from Glenn was frustration of his on offense. He really hasn't had any opportunities to make plays for Williamstown here in the second half so far.
2nd down and 5 at the 43-yard line. Inside of 2:30 remaining. Husney and Moore. It's Moore. He drives forward, and he should have enough for the first down. It looked like the exchange was a little sloppy, but they figured it out, and Moore picks up another first down.
And I tell you what, I'm liking the way that they run this offense with Moore and Husney. It always seems like that they're hitting 3rd and 4th gear really quickly on that 2nd or 3rd step forward, and that they have momentum, and I think that's a big reason why they get those couple extra yards after the hit.
1st and 10 from the 37. Once again, an inside handoff, and this time just not a whole lot there for Moore.
We get to call Dondre Dodson's name again. That was a great wrap-up by him, not letting Moore get to the next level and not letting him get away and finally wrapping him up and bringing him down. And that's going to be a loss on the play.
Rare loss for this Williamstown defense. That'll put additional pressure on Husney and the offense. Again, we've mentioned they have had little success through the air.
And the interesting thing is he's actually completed over half his passes, but just not for much yardage. But a lot of that was early in the game.
Inside Moore, and Moore maybe gets back to the original line of scrimmage. So this is kind of the way things have gone in this 3rd quarter. Just when it looks like one team's going to yield, the defense steps up. So 3rd down now from the 37-yard line.
And I think, a big sign here is that both those tackles on 1st and 2nd down were made by defensive linemen who are getting off their blocks and getting to the ball carrier before he can get to the next level. That was Marcellus Battle and Eric Smith there on the tackle.
Husney, 5 receivers in this package. Deep drop, flushed out of the pocket. Has a lot of room. Now, looks to cut inside, stays on his feet. What an effort by Husney.
Dodged that first tackle and managed to get to the sticks and get that first down. That's a great run by Husney there. He got flushed out and got flushed out to the right side, to the left side, and found some running room out there to the left.
A tremendous second effort. It looked like he was going to be brought down shy of the first down.
Right here, he dodges that tackle, just sidesteps him and dives for the marker, and looks like he just got the first down.
Again, working out of the shotgun. Here's Moore. Handoff, driving forward, picking up 3 or 4.
And there's Eric Smith again. You know, we've called his name a lot recently. And this, again, this defensive line is really the key for Williamstown, because they've got to be able to get off their blocks and make some of these tackles and take some of that pressure off the back 7. And they're finally starting to do that here and forcing 2nd and long, 3rd and long.
Inside of 15 seconds remaining, this will be the last play most likely. Here's Husney, and Husney still on his feet, and now we have a penalty. This is probably going to come back.
Well, we'll see what this flag is, because
I gotta
that
believe
far
it's-
down the field,
yeah, it's
you're kind of not sure exactly what it could be. But man, he popped out of the other side of that mass near the line of scrimmage, and then still found more yards beyond that to get to the 15. But yep.
Face mask against Williamstown.
And that's the concern in that area near the tackle. You wonder if they grab the face mask.
Well, we'll take a look at the replay.
Personal foul penalty will take
Yeah, he
the
just pops
7-yard
out.
line.
Somebody in that mask must have grabbed his face mask, and his head was facing toward that official. The official had a great view of whatever happened there. So.
And that will be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Toms River is on the move. The Mariners and the Braves are knotted at 7 in the Group 5 championship game. We will have the 4th quarter for you after the break. Welcome back, 4th quarter. 1st and goal from the 7-yard line. Moore driving those legs, pushing forward, trying to move the pile. He'll be shy of the end zone.
Tell you what, that's an interesting run by him, because he's been so quick to get north-south, get through the hole. That time he was patient, waited behind his blockers, and found about 5 yards. And 2nd and goal at the 2 now. Williamstown defense is really up against it here. They've really got to make a play.
Well, Moore, you could see from his angle, just trying to leverage that pile, able to push it forward, and that's what we talked about before. He has the opportunity to pick up 1, 2, 3 extra yards, and that's made all the difference tonight. Husney on his way towards the end zone. He's going to be short.
Yeah, I don't know if he got anything, maybe a yard, but I believe that last carry may have put Moore over 100 yards for the day. He's run really well for Toms River, been a consistent force for them in this game.
It looks like they got a good spot there too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see how you. I mean, as good a runner as Husney is, I don't see how you don't give it to Moore here on this play.
3rd down, working. Husney, hands, Moore. Moore is stopped. And now with the 2nd effort, touchdown.
Great 2nd effort by Moore there. He just kept pushing. He got stacked up, but then with 2nd effort, the line kind of fell forward a little bit, and he kind of followed him right into the end zone. Watch that first stop. He is stopped, and then they just fall forward, and he falls right behind him across the goal line.
Well, if you noticed, it was Husney who, once he was stopped, just kind of gave him a push, and that propelled him across the line. So now Toms River will look to add the extra point. They lead 13-7. They have not trailed in this football game. The extra point is up.
And the kick is good.
It is good. Again, interesting because both of these teams earlier had opportunities to kick field goals. They both have pretty good kickers, and both opted not to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and that's the interesting thing. I mean, you know, if you have a solid kicker, I mean, you noticed in that Delsey game, they had no problem, even after 2 blocked extra points, and going to Dobzhansky to kick that go-ahead field goal, which, you know, helped all but eliminate the chance of overtime, and then, you know, ended up being the winning points in that game. You know, if you have the kicking game in your arsenal, I think you can't be afraid to use it on this stage. You know, you've got to be able to go to them and be able to use them when you have them. And it is kind of surprising that neither team took advantage of that when they had the opportunity.
So 102 yards now on the evening for Moore. He has been a big factor in this game, has really started to wear down that Williamstown defense, and is rewarded by eclipsing the century mark. Williamstown has demonstrated a propensity for big plays on special teams. They're going to need it here. The kick is away. It's a squib kick, and it is picked up and stopped at the 32-yard line. So I think Toms River happy with that outcome. First down and 10 for the Braves.
And that was an interesting play there. Didn't want to try and pick it up. Didn't want to take any chances. Michael Choate there, the senior, just fell on the ball. It's decent field position for the Braves to start from. But they've really got to be able to move the ball downfield here and punch it in the end zone. 10:45 left. Time is running out for the Braves.
Well, this game has gone relatively quickly because both of these teams favor the run. That has been their bread and butter all season long. And certainly that is what Williamstown will rely on here with Glenn in the backfield. First and 10 to start this drive. And this has been a major problem all night long for the Braves.
And we hadn't seen one of those in a while, but unfortunately here we go again with another false start. And, to get to this stage, you have to figure Williamstown's got to be able to move the ball. And they've just had all sorts of problems and penalties that I can't imagine they've had up to this point in the season.
Well, I can tell you from doing them earlier in the year against Hamilton, this is a different team that I'm seeing tonight in terms of their level of focus or self-discipline, however you want to characterize it.
Well, first and 15, which, we kind of joked in the first half was their comfort zone considering that opening drive, but they can't keep doing this to themselves.
And timeout called by the Braves. Interesting. Coming out of a procedure penalty, you would think that, again, you have all of your wrinkles ironed out.
Yeah.
They're just compounding one mistake after another.
And, and they've used all of their timeouts so far in this game on those kind of plays where, there was a little bit of confusion. They weren't sure what to do. One of them was to avoid a delay of game penalty. But, you just feel like there's something a little bit off about this Williamstown offense. Apart from the one big play from early, they've moved the ball some, but you've never really felt like that they were in sync offensively.
11 penalties tonight for the Braves. It's hard to win a football game that way. The good news is they have not turned the ball over. Toms River does have one turnover, that the interception by Smith in the end zone. Stanzione right up the middle, and it looked like he had a hole, and that was shut down quickly.
Joe Nardoza there grabbing him as I think Stanzione was already by him, and then Nardoza grabbed him and did not let him go.
Pickup of maybe one. Second down, 14. The clock at 10:20. Still plenty of football to be played here at Rowan University. Another huge crowd on hand tonight. We've had just a tremendous outpouring of support, and let's face it, the weather hasn't hurt. Beautiful day for football, now getting nice and crisp, true December football weather. Stanzione gets flushed out of the pocket, stays on his feet, but he will finally be dropped for a big loss. And right now, this Williamstown offense just seems lost.
And there's a name we called earlier in the game, Pete LaQuaglia. It looked like he had managed to escape again as he did earlier in the game when he ran for that first down in the first half. But LaQuaglia didn't let him go and got him down to the turf, and now it's going to be third and very long for the Braves.
Third down and 19. Stanzione. They'll keep. And that's just to pick up a little bit of yardage.
Yeah,
they're going to have to punt and hope that their defense holds.
Yep. They're going to need another big punt and hopefully a minimal return to But, I mean, more than anything, that right now they need their defense to make a quick stop and get this offense the ball back, maybe in a little bit better field position this time.
You see Darian Carrington, we spoke about him before. He has been impressive both in the receiving game and on punt returns. Tremendous athlete. Back to receive the punt. Carrington calls for the fair catch, and he takes it at about his 37-yard line. So Toms River will start with good field position, 8:30 remaining in this fourth quarter. Williamstown looking to answer offensively. First, they're going to have to make a stop defensively.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, Toms River North not taking any chances, especially with the lead. They'll likely keep it on the ground here. This defense really needs to make a play, maybe force a fumble or something, because they're not going to get a chance for another interception here, I don't think, unless they force 3rd and long.
Well, Toms River kind of lets you know what's going to happen. You're going to get a lot of Moore and a lot of Husney, and that's what they start with. And again, it's just amazing. You see Moore hit 1-2 yard gain, and then he just drags people for 3 or 4 more. That run really typifies what you've seen from Moore tonight.
And I was watching that Williamstown front. They had 8-9 guys right on or near the line of scrimmage, and even with all that, they couldn't stop him for less than 5 yards. So
Husney again keeps. They'll be short of the first down at the 46-yard line. They'll be about 2 yards short. It'll bring up a 3rd down, and really a big play for this Williamstown defense. You get a sense that if they can stop them here, it would be a big emotional lift and maybe regenerate the offense. Conversely, you get a sense that if Toms River can get this first down, they may very well see that turn into 3 or 4 first downs.
Yeah, that Williamstown bench is really trying to get this hometown Braves crowd fired up to get them get this defense a little extra energy.
Husney out of the Wildcat. He's not going to make it.
And
well, I tell you, I mean, they've shown that play. They're not trying to fool you. They'll line up and they'll go behind their big running back Moore, but Williamstown has figured out a way to put an end to their success on that particular play, and Toms River now forced to punt.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really fool you with much of anything of what they do. They're just going to go at you with what they know they can do and make you try and stop it. And that time, the Williamstown defense made the play, stopped him for no gain, and it's 4th and 2, and
it looks like they're going to go for it.
I don't see the punter on the field, so.
This is a case where Williamstown has to make sure that they do not jump offside.
This is a fascinating decision by Toms River North if they actually run this play. Yeah.
Timeout.
And there's the timeout.
Well, I think if you're going to go for it on 4th down, the one thing you don't want is to have Williamstown get a chance to talk about it, and that's exactly what's going to happen here.
Well, I mean, and the interesting thing is, I mean, if they don't make it here, Williamstown has the ball across midfield in Toms River territory. You know, they could just punt it away and force Williamstown to drive 70, 80 yards, which they have not proven they can do, except on that one drive where Early broke a 60-yard touchdown. So,
listen, frankly, I don't understand the decision, and now it looks like they talked it over and decided that, hey, we're going to do what you and I talked about, make them drive the entire length of the field.
And it looks like Williamstown anticipated that, had their punt team on the field. So there's more going back deep. So. But they really
Lonnie Moore is someone who has shown to be a weapon earlier in the game, and we'll see whether or not they punt away from him. He is back at his own 23-yard line.
Tommy Donovan in the punt.
Good snap, high. Punt angled towards the corner. Moore lets it bounce, and now Toms River's momentum of the punt. We'll see it land at the 12-yard line.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision by Moore to let that bounce, and then he couldn't pick it up because the defense was on him. And now suddenly Williamstown's got 88 yards in front of him.
I think in retrospect, Toms River knows they made the right decision there.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, you know, the pressure's on Williamstown. They had success early in this game running the football with Glenn and Early. and using a little bit of Stanzioni mixed in. They've got to find a way to get back to that and find some success running the football and get this ball out of their own end. And they've got to score in the next 6:13. So
Stanzione working out of the shotgun. Hands off. Seam thrown down at the 15-yard line. And we have a player shaken up. And that's early.
You never want to see a kid grab his knee like that. And he got taken down from behind.
It looks like it may be below the knee. He's obviously writhing in pain, and that would be a huge loss. Very close to a horse collar tackle here.
Yeah, the way he got taken down from behind, he must have had his leg pinned under him, and maybe it got twisted. Right, yeah, that does look like a horse collar.
Yep. And that is exactly why they do not allow horse collar tackles, because that's the type of injury you sustain, and the referees just frankly missed it.
Yeah, no, that's... And you hate to see that for a guy like Early, a senior in his final game for the Braves, trying to bring his team back, and, to see an injury like that. I mean, hopefully it's nothing serious, but he was certainly in a lot of pain when he went down.
Of course, it was Early with the 61-yard touchdown run earlier. And right now, they're going to have to rely on Stanzione and Glenn all the more.
Not having Early late would really hurt this team.
He's shaking his head. It does not look good for that young man.
No, he can't put any weight on that leg. He's putting no weight on that left leg. And the way he grabbed, because I mean, you'll see kids when they suffer knee injuries, they'll grab actually below the knee, because if it's a torn tendon or something, or torn ligament, it can cause pain just around the knee, and he grabbed just below his knee, and it doesn't look good right now.
2nd down and 7. Williamstown will have to put together quite the drive, and ironically, they'll probably need all 6 minutes if they do that, unless they pop a big one. Stanzione hands it off, and again, not a whole lot there for Tyrek Glenn. A long 3rd down. Stanzione probably going to have to go to the air.
Yeah, 3rd and long here, and they haven't proven here in the second half that they can find running room and break a big run. So 3rd and long, you got to figure that they may have to go to the air. It looks like that's Kerwin Smith in for Joe Early there at the other halfback position, sophomore.
I don't know if there's a timeout on the field. It's taking a long time for this play to develop. Clock continues to move inside of 5 minutes. And now,
delay.
Well, I called it. I just don't know what's going on tonight.
No, they just seem to be out of rhythm offensively. Stanzione's either not getting the call from the sideline quickly, or he can't get the play called quickly. And if you notice, he is constantly directing traffic in that backfield, getting guys set in the right position after they line up perhaps incorrectly. And it's eating valuable time off the clock.
Out of the shotgun, empty backfield. Stanzione throws, has his man, and finally out of bounds. Stanzione suffered a late hit.
And Smith's close to the 1st down, and he's got the 1st down. It's a great job by Smith to get upfield and get to the sticks and get that 1st down.
That is a tremendous job.
And get out of bounds, too.
1st down and 10, Braves.
Boy, that's a huge play for the Braves, and maybe it'll be a momentum booster. Glenn's trying to get this team fired up. Get the crowd fired up.
Handoff, Glenn. Angles, cuts inside, pushed forward. Pick up of about 4 or 5.
And I tell you what, that's something you notice on those end arounds is in the first half when Glenn or Early would get to the edge, they would still be running forward at an angle. Here, the ends are getting upfield and forcing him back and around and making him take a longer route to get positive yardage.
Empty backfield. Stanzione looks to throw, flushed out of the pocket. He'll be sacked.
Yep, that's Deshaun Copes again, man. We keep calling his name, and you can see why he's getting some D1 interest.
Well, 3rd down and 9 inside of 4 minutes now. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they think they have enough time to punt it away or if this is 4-down territory. Again, Stanzione, 4 receivers set. Trips right. Quick drop, throws across the middle, has his man, and that'll be shy of the 1st down. Depending on the spot, it looks very close. We'll see if we get a measurement here.
That's Kerwin Smith, the man that came in for Joe Early when he went down with the injury.
Gain of 8 on the play.
And it looks like they will call for a measurement.
And that's nice to give the sophomore a chance to make a play there on 3rd down. You know, he was the open man over the middle, and he gets close to the sticks. We'll see if he actually has the 1st down. Want to make a prediction?
I think he's short.
I'll say he has it just to be different. Oh, no, that's well short. Didn't look that short.
I thought it was, you know, the only reason I think they measured is because of the nature of the call there.
And maybe to
late in
let
the
Williamstown
fourth
know
quarter.
exactly how far they had to go.
Yep. So 4th down, about 2 feet.
4th less than a yard.
Stanzione directs traffic. Handoff into the secondary. Glenn almost broke a big one.
Huge play by Glenn there, and a good job by the blocking. That Williamstown front line did a great job of giving him a hole to run through, and he just went right through it, dove for 5-6 yards in the 1st down.
1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. Williamstown on the move. Right up the middle. Glenn once again tries to pound it outside, and Toms River able to rebuff Glenn's efforts.
But a nice gain on 1st down by Glenn, and he nearly broke out of that 2nd tackle and nearly broke a big one because there wasn't a lot outside.
Well, you're right. It was a nice pickup, but the problem is these plays are not coming in quick enough because we're down to 2:43, and a bunch of 4-yard gains isn't going to be enough to score a touchdown. Here's more than a 4-yard gain. No, it's Glenn. It looked like he was well on his way to a 1st down. A nice open field tackle negates Glenn's escapability, and 3rd down again for Williamstown.
And that's safety Mickey Maldonado. We called his name a couple times earlier in the game. That's a great job by him. Open field tackle. 3rd and 3. It looks 2.5, 3 yards to go.
Clock continues to move. We're at 2:12 and counting. And Stanzione again trying to get Glenn into the proper position. 2 running backs. Stanzione looks to throw the ball. Has a man across the middle, in and out of his hands.
Oh, and he had to wait for that ball. That's Ruggiero. He had to wait for that ball. He's still not 100%. You can still see him limping, but he got open downfield, and he had to wait for that ball, and it gave a chance for the defender Carrington to get back to him and knock the ball out of his hands.
Well, I like the call. Very aggressive. That could have certainly changed the complexion of this drive, and now Williamstown is going to have to pick up 3 yards, or essentially this football game is over.
And you really want to be able to call this play and get it off here without having to use a timeout because, you know, with the clock stopped already, you want to be able to save those timeouts for when you need to be able to move the ball. But Ruggiero can barely move, and he had to switch sides, and they had to call timeout to I think they may have to pull him out of the game because he just cannot run.
Well, it looks like they had to burn a timeout there.
Yeah, no, they did.
Had he gone to the ground, they would not have had to burn the timeout.
Yeah, and you know that's an interesting observation because you know you don't think about that right away. But yeah, if a guy goes down, then it's an injury timeout. And it's not like the referees haven't seen him limping 30 yards downfield back to the line of scrimmage. So it's not like they don't know he's hurt.
Well, let's set the scene here. It's the fourth quarter of the Group 5 championship game. Toms River North owning a 7-point edge over Williamstown. It's 4th down and 3, a minute 57 remaining. Ball spotted at the 45-yard line of the Braves. They have to get to their own 48 in order to continue this drive.
And to theoretically continue this game, because if they don't convert here, then this game is all but over.
Stanzione underneath center. Handoff. Glenn, and he is denied.
And that's Maldonado again making a play in the backfield. Boy, they got such penetration in the backfield there. Glenn really never stood a chance. There were 3 guys back there on that side by the time he had started his run.
Let's take a look at the play.
It's this Maldonado gets off his block there and is in the backfield, but even if he hadn't gotten it, there were 2 other guys waiting to make the play behind him.
A minute 53 remaining.
And Williamstown down to just 1 timeout after having to use that timeout before the 4th down play.
Williamstown still, if they can hold here, can get the football back. Handoff, Moore.
Asante Moore on the carry.
And the question is, do you use the timeout now or wait till 3rd down? I think you wait till 3rd down.
I'm of the thinking you always use it right away. If you fumble the football, then that's time lost.
Gain of 2 on the play.
They opt not to do that. It's now inside of a minute 30 remaining.
I think they're going to wait till 3rd down. And
Husney with Moore in the backfield. Takes the snap. Hands off Moore. Moore pushing forward. Will be about 2 or 3 yards shy of the 1st down, and now Williamstown takes their timeout.
Williamstown calls timeout.
so 3rd and 3 with a minute left.
Offense must remain off the playing field. Offense must remain off the
Well,
playing field.
the only question here is whether they're going to run it with Husney or Moore. Williamstown is going to have to put 8 men in the box and try to stop it. Otherwise, this football game is essentially over.
Well, I think you know that the ball is going to one of them, and you've got I think you've got 10, 11 guys on that line of scrimmage just waiting to see where it goes, and you know they've got to make the stop here. I mean, this is the season for them.
Toms River North has had quite a season. They started out with a victory over Lacey. Their only loss against the Brick Memorial team that is also playing for a championship in Central Jersey. Defeated their arch rivals, Toms River South 55-20, blanked Marlboro 42-0. Jackson Memorial, Toms River East again pasted their other rival. Southern Regional, Brick, Neptune, and then came to South Jersey and beat Kingsway and let it be fumble. Husney bobbles the snap, and that changes everything. Now you punt the football.
And the thing is with this much time left, they can't just run a play and run out the clock, because they're going to have to punt the ball with probably 15, 20 seconds left on the clock. So they will have to run a play. And to be honest, I think you'll probably see them run the clock down and then call their own timeout to set up their punt situation for 4th down.
So the only question is how much time will remain after they call that timeout. And then you angle the punt to ensure that it's not a punt return that beats you. So 26 seconds left, and Williamstown, provided that Toms River can get a punt away, is going to have most likely in excess of 80 yards to go.
And Williamstown here is just going to bring the house, I think, and try and block this punt, because that's obviously the easiest way to try and get field position and try and get back to score the tying touchdown. So
now,
you bring the house and hope you don't rough, because if they rough, then it's over anyway, because the penalty would give Toms River a 1st down.
One thing to keep an eye on, the Toms River snapper has had a few snaps relatively high. This punter has done a nice job handling that, but again, we take a lot of things for granted. This is a complicated operation, and that young man, Ronnie Moore, is hoping that he'll have an opportunity to change the complexion of this football game as well.
To be honest, with them at the Williamstown 40, I'm surprised Moore's even back. I would bring the extra blocker up and try and block this kick and just let the ball roll.
Snap is good. Punt is away, angled towards the corner, and Moore looks to bounce up and catch the ball, but instead it is downed by Toms River. And if Williamstown didn't think they had a tough enough mountain to climb, it got a whole lot tougher.
97 yards, 17 seconds.
You got to win the lottery here.
Yeah.
You know, again, the thing is in high school football, pass interference is a 15-yard penalty.
Exactly.
So you might as well just play deep and tackle the guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, prevent defense in the NFL doesn't work. In high school football, it can work because at most you get 15 yards off that pass interference. So even if they, tackle a receiver here, Williamstown only moves to the 18-yard line.
Right.
And then 5-6 seconds runs off the clock. Correct. You do that 2 more times, the game's over. Although it can end on a defensive penalty. So
1st and 10, Stanzione, the transfer from Washington Township, has enjoyed quite a senior season. It's going to have to be very magical here. Stanzione throws it up. It's up for grabs, and it's picked off. Toms River able to take that, and it's Carrington once again, Darian Carrington, who has been a big part of Toms River's success, not only tonight but throughout the season. And the Mariners are going to go home as Group 5 champions. Just 11 seconds left. It's just a question of one last snap here.
And, we talked with the coaching staff before this game about how, 2 years ago this team was 1-9 in Oswit's first season, and he started 6 freshmen on that team that are now juniors on this team.
It's something you rarely see in football.
And, it's something that a rebuilding program will do, though, is get those young kids experience and take their lumps early to get good faster later. And that's exactly what Toms River North did, and it results in a sectional championship.
And there you see Mike Husney, elated. Toms River North is your Group 5 champions, defeating Williamstown 14-7. Chappie, let's first talk about Williamstown. Again, another tremendous season. This was a team tonight that just did not look like your typical Williamstown team. For whatever reason, just a lot of mental mistakes.
And to lose by 7 points to a team as quality as Toms River North, I think it shows just how much of a difference that made in the game. They just never seemed in sync offensively. Early broke the one big run, but other than that, they just never felt like they were comfortable offensively, and all those penalties just came back to bite them in the end.
We talked about Toms River North being a physical team. We saw that on their opening drive, just kind of bullying their way across the field, and we got a sense that they just had so much confidence in their offensive line and just relying on the 1-2 punch of Husney and Moore. A great recipe, and it brought them a championship.
Yeah, and you like to see this in the handshake line here. These guys, especially these offensive linemen and defensive linemen that have just gone at each other for 48 minutes, not just slapping hands, but generally shaking hands and showing respect for the job that the other side did. And I think that's well-deserved in this game. Both these lines did a great job, stuffing the offense and trying to create holes for the offense. And, I think ultimately maybe the better team won this game, but you would have liked to have seen Williamstown play without all those penalties and see if they could have kept this close and maybe pulled out the winning game.
Again, a true championship game. 2 teams that boasted tremendous defenses. Those defensive players on each team did not disappoint. Toms River, on the strength of a Moore 1-yard touchdown run with 10:45 remaining in the 4th quarter, on their way to a victory and a championship. Again, Toms River will go home. That bus ride that took so long to get here will go very, very quickly. Your Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week saw another classic. the Mariners over the Braves 14-7, your Group 5 champions for 2015. For my partner, Scott Chapelier, my director, Kevin Lemunion, my stat man, Zach Bates, I'm Rob Christ. All the crew, a tremendous job to each and every one of you. A lot of football today. We got here bright and early, probably somewhere around 8 o'clock for many of these guys. 3 different football great games, a lot of great television. I thank each and every one of you for the effort that you've put forth. Great way to wrap up our season here on the GCEN. Thanks for joining us. Good night, everybody.